Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, ExxonMobil's Coastal Plain project could bring thousands of jobs and millions in tax revenue. Find out which Crossroads County is on the short list. Plus, find out how Dow Chemical in Seadrift is taking the first step toward powering its facility with nuclear energy. And Victoria residents have a chance to help shape a new multi-use trail project, how your feedback could help secure millions of dollars in funding.
We're looking for quite a bit of cloud cover and some very windy weather. Your afternoon winds are going to be sort of getting in the way of things. We'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
Sirens and horns blare in Victoria to kick off Child Abuse Awareness Month, highlighting a crucial message for the community. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shauna Curry. ExxonMobil is looking for a home for its Coastal Plain project. One location for consideration is Calhoun County. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley spoke with a manager for the project and joins us with more. Ray?
Yes, Shauna. ExxonMobil is planning the Coastal Plain project, a world-scale chemical manufacturing facility to make polyethylene, which is used in many industries, including healthcare, food preservation, construction, and agriculture. The project could generate over 3,000 jobs during the construction phase and 600 workers once operational. Coastal Plain project manager Robert Bacon says the location decision is based on the community engagement and long-term investment.
It's very important to establish ourselves in a position within the community with employees and contractors that are going to be here for the long haul.
The Coastal Plain project could also generate millions of dollars in additional tax revenue for Calhoun County and even more overall economic impact. Although Calhoun County is a place of interest, the final location for the project is still to be decided. ExxonMobil is still in the early stages of development and planning and expected to make a final decision in 2027. Shauna?
All right, well, this brings us to our viewer poll today. What matters most about ExxonMobil's new project? Is it job creation and economic benefits, environmental and health concerns, or a balance of both? We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And right now, 70% of voters feel that job creation and economic benefits are the biggest factor for the project. So continue voting. We'll take a look at the latest numbers on 25 News Now at 6. Dow Chemical in Seadrift has applied for permission to bring nuclear power to the plant. The company wants to replace its current energy sources, which are near end of life. Dow has partnered with nuclear company X Energy to plan a small modular reactor, but approval for the construction permit could take up to 30 months before work can begin. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission says this is just the first step. It's still unclear if the project will move forward. In February, Seadrift City Council passed a resolution supporting the project. Your input is needed on a proposed multi-use trail in Victoria. The city is applying for a $1.2 million grant to help fund a new multi-use trail connecting Guy Grant Road to the Lone Tree Creek Hike and Bike Trail. The proposed path would run through the Shenandoah neighborhood, cross Mockingbird Lane, and link up with existing trails. The city says community feedback is key to securing the grant, so they're asking residents to weigh in by May 30th. You can send comments to kconley@victoriatx.gov and share where you live and how the project would impact you. Plus, if you want to learn more, you can tune into tonight's city council meeting that just got underway. You can either watch it on TV or streaming. Spring storms are ramping up again with severe weather threatening millions of people across the central and eastern U.S. today. Tornadoes, flooding, and dangerous storms are hitting areas still recovering from Monday's deadly twisters, which left at least 7 dead. Meanwhile, the South faces extreme heat and wildfire risks, while an ice storm around the Great Lakes could take down power lines. Laura Aguirre has the latest.
All we heard is glass breaking, and that was the door. And we come out here and saw everything else.
Nicholas Baggett hid with his family in the bathroom of their McEwen, Tennessee home as catastrophic winds swirled past it Monday. Now they're survivors of a deadly and destructive storm system that tore across the central and eastern U.S. Sunday and Monday.
There's a good damage path up there for about 1 mile to 2 miles and maybe a half mile wide.
But these regions will have to assess yesterday's damage while keeping an eye out for more twisters, hail, and high winds, as another round of the same is forecast from Texas north through the Midwest and Great Lakes now through tomorrow. It's also disaster deja vu for those in the lower Ohio Valley into the Mid-South today, with more than 20 million people under flood watches in nearly a dozen states, which could linger into the weekend. Residents like these folks in Rayne, Louisiana, just starting to dry out after losing nearly everything to floodwaters Monday.
The electricity started flowing through the water with good shocks, so we had to run out of here as fast as we can.
And if floods, storms, and tornado worries aren't enough, thousands remain without power after a windy ice storm in the upper Midwest Monday.
Boy, it was hard just to walk across the street. The wind was that fierce.
Those fierce winds are likely to continue with another blustery winter storm expected there and across the northern plains through tomorrow. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Record heat up to 20 degrees above seasonal norms is also scorching parts of the South today, with numerous records on track to be tied or broken. Well, warm and windy is what we can expect here over the next few days. So let's go to Mac Perez for our first look at our forecast. Mac, are we talking any record-setting weather here, this week or into the weekend?
At this point in time, not in the records, but certainly warm enough that you'll feel it. The thing is that we're also part of that monster storm that's called all that weather we're talking about. We're in the warm sector, and the winds are going to be picking up. Now, tomorrow they'll be probably 15 to 25, and then later in the week they'll be about 20 to 40. So it's going to be howling wind, all of it going into that storm system that we'll talk about in just a few minutes. Shauna, back to you.
Thank you, Mac. A Victoria registered sex offender is facing charges for violating his probation. Curtis Huerta pled guilty in 2023 of indecency with a child sexual contact involving a 13-year-old victim. The charges were filed in Goliad County. As part of his plea deal, he received 10 years of community supervision. Last month, Huerta turned himself in to his probation officer for violating several terms of his probation, including leaving the county or state without permission, contact with minors, and being within 1,000 feet of where children commonly gather. A suspected human smuggling attempt turns deadly near the Texas border. Border Patrol chased an SUV near Edcouch, ending when the vehicle plunged into a canal. DPS released aerial footage showing crews rescuing and arresting the 26-year-old driver from Mexico. He now faces federal charges. 7 people were inside. A juvenile boy and an adult woman died, while 4 others survived. Border Patrol is leading the investigation. A Texas Senate panel approves a $500 million infusion for film incentives. The bill would more than double the amount of money Texas spends to lure film and television projects and has the backing of Texas movie stars, including Matthew McConaughey. To read the full Texas Tribune article, visit crossroadstoday.com. Companies and consumers nationwide are bracing for President Trump's new tariffs set to go into effect tomorrow. The president has described his plan as reciprocity, targeting the largest trade deficits with other countries. But he also appears open to negotiations, leading to even more economic uncertainty. Here's ABC's Christiane Cordero with more.
By this time tomorrow, sweeping new tariffs on products coming into the U.S. are set to be official, with President Trump announcing what exactly he plans to target.
April 2nd, 2025 will go down as one of the most important days in modern American history.
The president has framed the tariffs as reciprocity, suggesting he's aiming at larger trade deficits with foreign exporters. He's adamant doing so will boost American manufacturing long term. The pushback has been swift.
Tariffs are so uncertain, so chaotic, such a mess, that business people are pulling back. So are consumers.
Prices are expected to increase on everyday goods, including appliances, groceries, clothing, and cars. The president has already announced a 25% tariff on foreign-made vehicles and parts. The European Union today said it has a plan to fight back, stoking fears of a trade war escalating.
We have the largest single market in the world. We have the strength to negotiate.
The White House today suggested the president is willing to negotiate.
Someone calls after tomorrow and says, hey, I'm ready to make a change, he'd be open to that.
The president is always open to taking calls.
Leaving businesses to consider how they change where they source from or if they should change at all.
The current supply chains, a lot of those were built out over the course of 10, 20, 30 years. And now if you turn trade policy on its head, you can't just wave a magic wand and change those supply chains.
The 25% tariff on auto imports is, by one estimate, expected to increase the price of a new vehicle by at least $6,000. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Sirens sound off in Victoria to raise awareness of child abuse. For the third year in a row, Hope of South Texas started off Child Abuse Awareness Month with the sounding of horns, sirens, and bells at noon. First responders lined up in front of the Dr. Patty Dodson Public Health Center while their vehicles got loud to bring the awareness. Last year, there were 1,600 suspected cases of child abuse in Victoria County alone. Executive Director of Hope of South Texas Children's Advocacy Center, Megan Gum, says awareness is the key to more children receiving the help they need.
It's signaling to those who are not feeling safe that they are not alone. They have a place where they will be protected and their voices heard. And today is representing all those who have been impacted by child abuse.
To report suspected abuse, dial 911. And for more information on the Hope of South Texas Child Advocacy Center, go online to hopecenterstx.org. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell, and then you can see all of our news on YouTube 24 hours a day as well. Stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. A pro-cannabis group rolls out ads urging Trump to light up the fight for decriminalization. And with nearly half of U.S. adults facing hypertension, a new drug could be a game changer. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the Justice Department will seek the death penalty for Luigi Mangione. He's the man accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Mangione faces state and federal charges for the December shooting in Midtown Manhattan. He has pleaded not guilty to state charges while a federal indictment is still pending. His legal team added a death penalty expert earlier this year. TikTok's deadline to find a U.S. buyer is almost up again. Its parent company ByteDance has until April 5th to sell or face a U.S. ban. A few big names are interested, including former Dodgers owner Frank McCourt, investor Kevin O'Leary, and even influencer Mr. Beast. Lawmakers say TikTok is a national security risk, and back in January, the app briefly went offline when the first deadline passed. Now time is running out once again. A pro-cannabis group is rolling out new political ads pushing for marijuana decriminalization. The American Rights and Reform PAC is airing two 30-second spots in D.C. and West Palm Beach. One criticizes Joe Biden for not changing federal pot laws, while the other highlights how Canada profits from U.S. restrictions. Both ads urge Donald Trump to end Biden's war on medical cannabis. The White House says no action is currently planned. Well, now let's talk Ticks. It's that time of year when these little pests start showing up, and experts say that it's important to stay aware while you're outdoors. Ticks can carry harmful germs, including the ones that cause Lyme disease. Mandy Gaither has what to expect for the 2025 tick season and how to keep your family safe.
The ground is thawing, the weather's getting warmer, and you're not the only one ready to enjoy the outdoors. Ticks are starting to come out.
They will be looking for their first blood meal of the season.
Dr. Bobby Pritt with the Mayo Clinic says ticks will be out now through fall with peak times in June and July. The more humid and warm the climate, the more likely you'll come across one of these parasites, which can spread potentially dangerous diseases.
Some of these pathogens can be transmitted quite quickly, so you want to avoid tick bites at all costs.
To prevent bites, spray tick repellent on exposed skin. Pritt recommends those with DEET, keratin, or lemon eucalyptus. You can also wear long sleeves and pants, tucking pants into socks so that ticks can't crawl up pant legs. Treat clothing and gear with permethrin, which can kill ticks on contact, and do frequent tick checks on people and pets.
If you find a tick, don't panic. If the tick is embedded, you just want to remove it as quickly as possible.
To safely do that, Pritt says to use fine-tipped tweezers. Grasp the tick as close as possible to the skin at a 45-degree angle, pulling the creature out slowly in one motion and avoid squeezing it.
And you don't want to use any of those folk remedies that may damage the tick, like touching it with a match or putting petroleum jelly on it. That might actually increase the risk of infection, and it might hurt you.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
If you do remove a tick, Dr. Pritt suggests keeping it in a Ziploc bag for a few days and watching for Lyme disease symptoms. The Mayo Clinic says signs include fever, chills, fatigue, pain, and/or a rash, sometimes with a bullseye pattern. If you do notice any of these, get medical care. The tick can also be tested for Lyme and other illnesses. A new experimental drug could help people who struggle to lower their blood pressure with existing medications. In a mid-stage trial, patients taking lorangostat, along with 2 or 3 other hypertension drugs, saw their systolic blood pressure drop 8 points more than those on a placebo. With nearly half of U.S. adults dealing with hypertension, researchers say this could be a game changer. The findings were presented at the American College of Cardiology's annual meeting and will be published in the New England Journal of Medicine.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. We're looking at 81 degrees right about now. Winds are rather gusty, getting up to 22. Well, they're 21 sustained, but we're getting gusts up to 28. So it's a sure sign that we're going to be very breezy for tomorrow. 81 was our high today because we had that cloud deck that sort of hung tough all day. It is now breaking up. We had a low of 67 this morning. Now, next couple of days, very windy and very warm, but there's a whole lot more to that detail coming up in a moment. Stay tuned. Well, good afternoon, everybody. The only problem you're going to have to worry about is your hairdo and your hat for the next few days because the winds are going to be the biggest issue. Right now, there's no rain activity in Texas, even though there was a bit of a watch there earlier in the day. That has been lowered, obviously. We take a look at the big picture and you can see all the stormy weather. Well, everything is blowing into this big area of low pressure that's gathering, but you can see to the north of it, they still have snow. To the south of it, all we got is that hot and humid wind that is blowing. Here you can see the cloud deck that was over us today. You can also see the winds, everything flowing up into this area of low pressure. So that is the storm center, the area of lowest pressure, because that's where the air goes in and then starts rising up as opposed to across. So it's that vertical motion that causes the storms to build up so rapidly and so big and so tall. That is going to be the first thing that develops over the next couple of days that will be crossing the Rockies, or rather crossing the plains, and then become a big, huge problem for the Midwest. To the north of it, cold and snowy. In the middle of it, 60-mile-an-hour winds, believe it or not. And even in North Texas, they're going to have kinds of problems with wind. We also have the potential of having some severe weather. Now, this is tomorrow. You can see green would be a marginal chance right about here. Slight chance would be right here, basically, I would say north of Waco, and then enhanced opportunity, pardon me, for stormy weather in the North Texas area, including Dallas, and then get real serious over there in Memphis. So tomorrow afternoon is going to be a volatile afternoon of big storms developing. We're just getting the southern end of it. You can see winds that are in 20 miles an hour tonight, and then tomorrow afternoon they'll be probably rolling with gusts up to about 30, 35, well 30 tomorrow and then 35 the next day. Temperatures well above normal, 87, 88 on Thursday, 87 on Friday, but look at this. We actually have a cool front that comes in and knocks the temperature down a little bit by the time we get to the weekend. So here's the next few hours. You can see how that possibility of some storminess to the north, we're really not invited to that. Everything is going to be the wind problem as that storm rolls out of the Rockies and starts to move. Now, here's Friday, still stormy up north. And then what happens on Saturday? Well, that's when the front passes through, gives us the cooler air. That's the day they have snow in Amarillo. Believe it or not, we go from hot, windy to snow, believe it or not. Well, it's just springtime weather really popping up all over the place. So let's take a look at your Port Lavaca forecast for tomorrow. Day partly cloudy to mostly cloudy, but very windy, getting up to about 84 as you see right about there. Then Cuero, you're getting down to 73 tonight and getting up to about 86 tomorrow. But again, you'll be dealing with the winds that are going to be rather blustery. So for the next 3-4 days, we stay on the warm side, looking at 87, 88, 87. Blustery winds through there. Frontal system makes it through our area finally on Saturday. Slight chance of a shower or two, but then next week, look at that. We cool down to 70 degrees as a high temperature, almost a 20-degree drop after that front. Pretty good. May be our last chance. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody, we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that, put Crossroads a Day on your phone. Shauna, back to you.
Mother Nature is trying to keep us on our toes.
Right.
Thank you, Mac. Well, still to come, U.S. employers slow down hiring as job openings drop. What's driving this shift in the market? The Dow closed nearly flat, while the Nasdaq and S&P 500 edged up in Tuesday trading. It comes as investors digested economic reports while awaiting what President Donald Trump calls his Liberation Day tariff announcement on Wednesday. Here's a closer look at today's closing numbers. The Dow ended down 12 points, while the S&P 500 was up 0.4% and the Nasdaq gained 0.9%. Oil is down 25 cents to $71.23 per barrel. Tesla's sales in France and Sweden dropped again in March, marking the third straight month of declines. This led to the lowest first quarter sales in both countries since 2021. In France, Tesla's sales fell by nearly 37%. In Sweden, they dropped 64%. The brand is also facing challenges in Europe with increasing competition from traditional automakers and new Chinese EV companies. Additionally, Elon Musk's support of far-right parties in Europe has sparked controversy, with Tesla facing protests and even vandalism. Ford reports that buyers flooded its dealerships in March to snatch up cars ahead of the threat of higher prices due to tariffs. The automaker said overall sales in March rose 10%. That's a bounce from the 1.3% decline in the first quarter overall. A 25% tariff on all cars imported from foreign countries is expected to begin Thursday. Most Ford vehicles are made in U.S. plants, so they will not immediately be subject to tariffs, but some of its hot sellers are vehicles made outside the U.S. Employment opportunities in the U.S. are down. The number of job openings fell to 7.57 million in February. That's according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey that was just released. The report is considered a measurement of labor market demand. At the beginning of the year, the number of available jobs was 7.76 million. U.S. employers likely pared back on their hiring plans in February, due in part to heightened economic uncertainty. Mortgage giant Rocket is buying the largest mortgage servicer in the U.S., Mr. Cooper Group, for $9.4 billion. If the acquisition closes as expected in the fourth quarter, it would be the second largest deal ever in the mortgage industry. Rocket, which is the third largest mortgage lender in the U.S., says the combined company would service about 1 in every 6 mortgages in the nation. In March, Rocket announced plans to buy real estate brokerage Redfin for nearly $1.8 billion. Well, don't go away. Coming up, a tiny but mighty pygmy hippo makes her big outdoor debut. You won't want to miss it.
Tonight, President Trump's trade war, his sweeping new tariffs plan for all countries. How much more will Americans be paying? Plus, the high-stakes elections getting national attention. World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
A new baby pygmy hippo is making her public debut outdoors at a Virginia zoo. The endangered hippo named Poppy was born December 9th, and it finally got warm enough there for her and her mom Iris to go outside at Metro Richmond Zoo in Virginia. The 80-pound Poppy still nurses, but also eats grain, hay, lettuce, celery, broccoli, sweet potatoes, all that healthy stuff, even occasionally apples and bananas. There are only about 2,500 pygmy hippos remaining in the wild. So super cute.
And he likes to play, apparently. You know?
Yes, very playful little one.
Very playful.
So, are we going to have the kind of weather to go check out zoo animals?
Well, it's always good to go check out the zoo animals. The problem is, hold on to your hats because the wind is going to be the big issue. Today we're probably in the 25-mile-an-hour range. Tomorrow it'll top out at 30, and I think either Thursday or Friday we're looking at 30 to 40-mile-an-hour winds buffeting our area. So it's going to be even a problem for high-profile vehicles. If you're driving a Winnebago on Thursday, it's going to be a problem. Otherwise, very hot, and then next week we actually cool down into the 70s, so that'll be fun.
All right.
Could be our last time.
No reason to get out and rake the leaves over the next few days or this weekend.
Just give it a day or two, they'll be next door, you know?
Yeah, and then the other ones will blow in your yard.
Exactly.
Yeah, just a repeat process. So, well, thank you for joining us. Our next newscast is in 30 minutes, right at 6 o'clock. We'll hope you can join us then, right after World News Now with David Muir.